Well, what's the crack, everybody? How are you getting on? And welcome to another episode of Buckshot. I think we're on like 201 or whatever. It's Friday, the 15th. I don't know, I made such a big deal of 15th of October 2021. Although if you're a Patreon, you would have gotten this last night. Which of course is the benefits of Patreon. If you're brand new to the podcast, going, hey, what's the crack? Because we have been getting a lot of new people jumping on board in the last week or so since we fired it back up again. So if you're brand new, case in point, there's a fucking rake of other episodes there. But if you would like to support the show, because that's the whole benefit of it, is supporting the show, there is the Patreon page, like there is probably, I would imagine, every other podcast out there. But what's different with mine? You get the ad-free content, and you get the video, and you get live Royal Rambles like we did last Sunday with Patreons only, where we all hang out, have a few beers, we have a subject that we loosely talk around, and have the crack. It's not recorded, it's not put out there anywhere, so you can kind of let your hair down a small bit, and they are mighty crack. Also, I just realised, well, it's a new enough thing where you can, if you don't want to be going into Patreon to go looking for it or whatever, you can, once you sign up, you can go through and find the RSS feed. You can put the RSS feed of your favourite podcast app, which is very easily found with a quick Google. I'm not going to tell you how to do it, but just literally Google it, and there'll be some chap in Asia somewhere teach you how to do it in like 15 seconds, where you put just a link basically, and you don't have to ever go back in there. It just arrives early doors, because this went out last night for normal people, for Patreons I should say, for normal people. We all wearing GA shorts and fucking gold chains and hanging around with, Kildare accents out in Sligo. So that's the benefit of becoming a Patreon, and it's a very sound thing. Thank you very much to everybody. 3 different people in the past week upped their pledge, which you don't have to do. You don't have to do. It's just what it means to you, and it was very cool. Three people this week did it. I have just about gotten back to all the emails. Almost gotten back to all the emails. For some reason, they were going into a place in my emails that I couldn't see, and I spotted a plethora of them during the week. So I've replied to almost everybody. I will get back to you all. So keep them coming. Feel free to keep them coming. You know what I mean? It actually is very nice to hear from people. Very encouraging. Gigs coming up this week, actually. Yeah, this week is going to be a strange one for weird gigs. Well, not weird gigs, but just no through line, truly. I'm going to be in Dolan's on the 21st. I'm going to be in Dolan's on the 21st of this week. 21st of this week? What's wrong with me? The 21st of October. I'm going to be in Dolan's, and I'm going to be... So pop along. I'm not sure who they have with me, but I'll be doing probably about an hour anyway. And then I'm in Naas. It's 12 something it's called. I think there's a band on. I think it's like a dinner and a cabaret show. It could be messy. I don't really care. I'm gone that way now. That, yeah. And then anyway, most importantly, I'm over in Galway the following night. Saturday night I'm in Galway. Sunday night I'm in Galway. And then I'm back in Limerick again for the Punchline in UCH with Julie J and Emma Dorn, which is going to be class. And then there's a couple of more in, there's possibly a one in Thurles on the 31st, and there's possibly a one in Dundalk on the 4th. There's a lot of prospective stuff coming up, lads. And when I mean perspective, people go, they hide behind it and go, big exciting things coming. Nobody knows what's coming, lads. Actually, nobody knows what's coming. So there's been a lot of phone calls like that. Hey Tom, if I was to do a thing and put the thing on here, and would you be the guy with the thing? And I'm like, yeah, I will. Yes, I will. Again, if you're brand new to this podcast and you're going, who's this Tom fella? I want more of him. Well, there's a rake more. There's 200 and odd other episodes, and also there's a bunch of Ramble Pods. If you want to come over, they have become exclusively Patreon only at the minute, and they're all over on the Patreon page. There's of course the Tom and Jerry show too, with Jerry with a G, and myself and Waterford Whispers writer Jerry McBride. Deep dive into subjects that are as wide and as broad as from Dolly Parton to your favourite moonshine. Maybe actually those aren't too broad, now that I think about it. Anyway, it's a very, very fun show. There's 6 seasons of it there. So go have a gander at that. There is, of course, my new Cracked Rugby podcast. So if you do have a slightest interest in listening to a man swearing kind of stupidly about a sport that he does enjoy, then go have a listen to the Cracked Rugby podcast. it'll introduce it to the sport, I guess, without sounding too nerdy about it, because sometimes those journo ones can be a bit on the zero crack side. Anyway, that's all out of the way. Let's get talking about today's guest. He was on with me very, very back when podcasts were in black and white. This man was on with me. We have gigged together up and down every fucking corner of this country, and he's an absolute joy to hang out with. He's brilliant. You all know him. You all love him. He's from Father Ted, The Savage Eye, Naked Camera, and a rake of other things. It's the powerful Pat McDonnell, everybody. Pat/Patrick McDonnell, welcome back.
Good. Yeah, it's a couple of years, isn't it?
You were early doors, back when podcasts were in black and white.
That's right. Yeah, exactly. Yeah.
And I always wanted to go to people, and the idea of, oh man, doing it over Skype or Zoom, man, it's not the real thing. You got to meet, and you're like, it'll do fine. In fact, it works way better for loads of people, and you can get loads more chances to actually meet people when they don't have to come to your house or put on trousers, Pat.
That's right. No, I'm not going to stand up, but yeah. But I remember seeing 2001: A Space Odyssey years ago, and seeing that there was a video phone in that. Remember that? Did you ever see it?
Yes.
Yeah, there was a video phone. I thought that'll be the future. And then we got them, and we never used them. I never, ever used Skype or anything like that, ever. I just used the phone. And it took a pandemic for us to get used to it.
And in all fairness, like, you've got a nice clear camera, you sound good. Still, some people sound like they're underneath a bed or they're hiding from an ex-wife or something like. But you've taken it with both. Have you started actually using a smartphone? Because I have seen you with a Nokia, fucking Snake. Basically, is about the extent of it. Have you started using an actual smartphone?
Oh no, I'm completely tech savvy.
Are you?
Well, I am pretty much. Yeah, it's just I never just bothered my arse videoing people. Or doing a Skype or anything like that. Yeah. Here and it's just took this to get used to it, and it's brilliant.
Yeah, it was like I said, I had the hipster notion that purely all you could do, because I'd heard, but it's gotten much better too. Like back in the day, back maybe 3 years ago when Skype and whatnot. Way back then. But I mean, the jumps in technology that they've done with this, because once upon a time we couldn't have a proper conversation. You'd have to stop, and then I would speak. You know what I mean? So it has.
That's one of the great leaps for humanity, isn't it? Zoom. You can talk at the same time.
It's unbelievable. Apparently, I know a guy, and his cousin was working for Zoom in Holland or wherever they were based. There was only a small team of them, and they were like a startup trying to compete with Skype, but they were going, we're simpler. Nobody was, because it was to Skype somebody was an actual verb.
Yeah.
And by all accounts, when the pandemic took off and Zoom just seemed to be the new kiddie and was so much easier, within like a month, apparently the boss had bought everybody a Maserati, and the company was like, this is going gravy.
Wow. And how do they make their money? Is it just people obviously I'm not paying for it. But
no, but I am.
You are.
Yeah, to go like during the early doors of the pandemic, they were going, oh yeah, talk to anybody for an hour for free, and then it cut down to a half an hour for free. And so if you want calls to be fair, I noticed an immediate improvement in my reception too, and calls weren't dropping. There was nobody, I noticed it was like, oh sure, you can have the free shit, but let's be honest, Pat.
Yeah, no,
there's no such thing
as free now. No.
I still, to this day, I swear to God, I have a clip I took from our podcast from I must actually look, I can't remember what, it was back in, we're talking, it must have been in the early teens, the numbers. This is episode 201, but there's a clip, and to this day, I've played it for every teacher friend I've ever met or ran into, that I put up on my Instagram. And it was when you were telling me how the breaking point happened when you were a teacher. It still brings me joy to hear to hear when your brain broke, when your man was trying to describe to you how to keep a sandwich dry.
Yeah, that was it. Because until that point in my life, there'd been a lot of teachers in the family. I thought this will be okay, get a pension and then that's gone, out of here. I can't. Yeah, I think he was a woodwork teacher as well. I don't think he was like
classic.
Yeah. And I'm staring at my sandwich, judging my sandwich.
For anybody who hasn't listened to the first one, just find that clip on the Buckshot page. And it just brings, still, if I played it for my wife right now, the two of us just howled because there's so much sincerity and that you're really in that moment. See, is this a tomato?
Yeah. There was a kid jumped out the window one day on me. It was the ground floor, but the bell went and they all jumped. And I said, "No, you're waiting until I say." And then one said, fuck this," and he popped out the window. Went home, and I just said, "Fair play to you." I didn't report him. I was just like, it was all wrong.
But you know what? Isn't it good that you found your brain and you were self-critical enough to go, "Oh yeah, no, this isn't for me," because the psychopaths we had in school, and they're 30 years on the job and hated every minute of it.
Yeah.
Downloading that shit onto the kids they're teaching. Like,
absolutely. I had no passion. Knew nothing about the subjects. What was the point? It was torturing them and me.
Yeah, see, I don't think
so many kids of service. They don't know that I could have ruined their lives. No.
I did a gig. I was thinking of you. I did a gig in that area. Maybe it was 2019, and I remember you telling me, we were probably talking off air, but the madness that was going on in that area. And I swear to God, some of your past students were definitely at that gig. It ended up being what was supposed to build as my show, and people from the public were coming, but they didn't advertise it anywhere. So a handful of people came, but the remainder, and it was full, made it a private show for what can only be described as drug dealers.
Right. Yeah.
It was but insanity. Like, every corner of my hour that I was there, every single time I spoke, I went, that could go any which way what I just said there.
No, I remember as well doing a gig there at that place, and a guy at the end, he could have been out of prison, and he had a pink sort of like golf jumper. I don't know what brand it was, but those
Pringle.
Jumpers.
Surely Pringle was
probably, yeah. But he put his arm around me, and I felt like if I was in prison,
you'd be the one with the...
Yeah. I was never so scared in my life. Yeah, some of those people did end up in prison and whatever, that kids.
Of course they did.
Yeah. No, lots did.
Like,
and there were bad outcomes, but some good outcomes,
Well, it's always funny. I remember being at that same gig one evening, and it was two blokes outside. They were very mannerly. They were very nice, but they were having a conversation. Because, sometimes you like to stay outside for a bit, like, fuck it, I don't. Oh, I mean, the whole notion of the fourth wall and all the rest of it. Like,
yeah.
Well, I was listening to these two fellas, and they were comparing foods in two different jails.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Which was best? Which was better?
Literally, it was like,
yeah. There's a show for you, though.
Fucking Donald skiing. Send him off, see can he cook for prisoners? Yeah,
how long would he last? Yeah.
We did a gig. We actually did a proper gig the other night in Clonmel, and it was like a proper gig. Have you done any weirdness since coming back? Like, or has your...
It was all weird, yeah.
Yeah, like...
Yeah, there were outdoor gigs, beer gardens and that. And then one, I did, there was a festival in Kildare.
Yeah.
So I did that, and Totally Wired had a lovely gig. It was outdoors, all outdoors. Big kind of walled garden and a proper big stage. It was really high tech. It was being filmed and everything. But when I got on, there was a storm. I stormed. But like, there was a gale force wind, rain, everything. It was mad. Like, it was just me there standing doing my gig, and people like covered and getting plastic over their heads and everything. Yeah. And then I've been doing gigs in restaurants and stuff like that. Just mad, not proper gigs. Not proper.
Isn't it funny how our pride goes out the window, or our standards maybe go out the window? And I think that's possibly the best thing that's happened to me over lockdown, is that it's not even a decision now. It's not even a decision where I go, don't know about that, where it would have been 2 years ago.
Yeah.
Now it's, oh, great. Yeah. Delighted.
Yeah, exactly.
Can I do a stag do, in a fucking beer garden in Wicklow?
Absolutely. Is there one going? Did you turn it down? Because I will do that one. Yeah, no, absolutely. I do anything, and I love it. And I'm only getting back to normal now. It's only about, like, I don't know how many gigs I've done, but I'm only getting back to the way I was before lockdown, because it was like all of that comedy part of the brain had been wiped, just wiped. And I couldn't remember how to do it. And I couldn't remember stuff for 40 minutes. I keep that much information in my brain for 40 minutes. I kept getting bogged down.
You forget about that you actually, the capacity really, I suppose, is what it is. The void that holds all the jokes and the material. You become so match unfit, don't you? Like, it's
unbelievable. Yeah, absolutely. We took so much for granted before that I never stopped gigging. I was doing it for 24 years at that point, just short of 24 years at that point. And like, I'd never stopped. I'd never, ever took a big break. Never, never more than a couple of weeks.
Yeah.
Not gigging.
And you'd probably be on a show during that time or something like that. Probably.
Yeah, when I was doing the Savage Ice, it was hard to gig at the weekends, because you'd be filming all week. But other than that, like, that would be a month.
Yeah.
But, but never that long. And it was just like starting over. But it came back fairly quickly. Like, it does come back fairly quickly. But it was frightening at first. Just starting a routine that I'd done several thousand times.
Yeah.
And then just getting lost and having to stop and asking, for pity from them. They're very understanding, but it's still, it was really shockingly rusty. And I think everyone found that. Couldn't remember. I didn't record myself anytime before the lockdown. So I had to ring around Joe Rooney, I gig a lot with. I had to ask him, what's that bit I do where I do, and he'd remember it better than me, like stuff I thought was in there forever. I used to think if ever I got dementia and I was in a home, I would be doing my set over and over. Not like talking about my aunt or my mother or whatever. I'd just be doing like the Save Cross Code business. And I just keep doing that. But I know it went so quickly.
Do you know what's really sad? Is that I knew a bit I wanted to do, and I went to do it, and I came away and went, that came across okay. And then in my head, driving home, I thought of a bit that would make it much better. I went, I think I better write that, because I'm not great for writing down material. Yeah. I think I better write that down. And I swear on my life, Pat, I went, whatever notebook I picked up, I'd already fucking done that. And my brain fooled me into going, aren't you a great boy? Now here's a new bit for you to add to that. And it wasn't.
I know.
So maybe this is what dementia is like.
Yeah, well, I often wonder, I do worry, what will I say if I ever get it? What will I say to my wife or kids? And they'll be thinking, what's going on in his head for the last 80 years, But I think just give me a mic and I'll be grand.
Yeah.
Just give me a mic. I'll talk away all, I'll be happy.
I'm always jealous of singers, like, well-known singers who, you'd see the likes of Christy Moore trying to bring out a new song, and everybody's like, we just want Joxer goes to fucking Stuttgart.
Yeah.
But you get people then like Neil Diamond, who's happy to give you the hits. You're like, Neil could actually have dementia, no problem, and just bang that out, because that'll probably be all he'll know.
And sure, the crowd will sing it for you anyway. So you just have to sit there.
I don't think I ever asked you the last day, where I know you were, before we talked about you when you started in comedy, you'd obviously had a toe in the water when you were, fuck this, out of school. I can't do the school thing anymore. Had you a toe in the water, or was it like, I don't know what to do now?
Yeah, So I did a degree in history and Irish, and I can't speak Irish now. I have no Irish. I failed Irish. I did well in history, and I did a master's then, because I had no concept of what to do after college.
Yeah.
So I just did it. You think, oh, masters, you really no, I'm literally, it's this or the sites in London.
Right.
That was it, really, because there were very few jobs really at that time. It wasn't like, it was the 80s. I graduated what year? 89. So there weren't many prospects. So I did a master's, and when I was doing the master's, I had friends who were doing degrees in communications and filmmaking in Dublin. Right. Friends from Dundalk, and I grew up just outside Dundalk, so they were making it. So we made little short films and stuff, and that's where I got the bug. I got this is something I'd like to do. Yeah. So I did the NA and then taught for a bit, hated that, and then I thought, like, I can't go back to teaching. So I took a job. My flatmate at the time had a friend in a band who was a manager in a shop. I got a job in that shop. I worked there for about 2.5 years selling jumpers. Owen McLove on the jumpers. I think that's where they got it from, because I did tell the writers about that. But So I remember, like, I was there. I started doing comedy during that. Like, Tommy Tierney used to come into the Dublin Willow Mills where I worked,
Right.
to watch me, laugh at me selling jumpers, So that's what I did. And then took the big leap doing stand-up in 1995. Yeah. In the International.
Who had it then?
Barry Murphy was was
Right.
over at the Comedy Cellar on the Wednesdays. So there was improv on Monday. There was that on the Wednesday. I think there was a gig on Thursdays in JB's in the Gaiety.
Right.
Yeah. A lot of people started there. So that sort of complemented that. And then there was the improv in the with Tony Ferns and in the Halfpenny Bridge Inn. And they did a stand-up. There was a stand-up slot just after the improv.
Don't you love that? Like,
it was hard. Yeah. And then there was the City Arts Centre. They did comedy around then. They started doing comedy around then. But that was it in Dublin. That was literally it.
But that must have been it nearly nationwide too.
Nationwide, yeah. With City Limits in Cork.
Right.
And then Jerry Mallon had a gig in Galway, the GPO.
Oh, yes, yeah. And was the Empire up and running then?
Empire was, yeah. First gig I did in the Empire, I died on my arse. Yeah. Oh, absolutely.
Of course. I mean, it can be a tough gig to do.
Really
like, anyway.
tough.
Yeah.
And what's the smell? A bit of weakness.
Yeah. Oh, yeah.
I reckon if I'd lived in Belfast at that time, they would have smelled me out. The UVF would have just him, definitely. But they were probably there that night and they booed me off stage.
Okay,
and they enjoyed so much booing me off, they brought me back on. There was an encore. Bring me out. And then they booed me off again.
Holy shit.
Yeah.
And what was
I thought I was doing well. I thought I was good.
Well, you just not fitting their picture, like, was that the scenario?
No, it didn't work. When I started, I was doing fairly, I can't remember. It was pretty surreal. It was more Kevin McAleer sort of stuff. But, it was just like some mad stories. And they do okay. I do well in Galway. I do okay in Cork, but not in Belfast. They were not ready.
Yes.
Derry was actually okay. No, Belfast was like, fuck off. With your big head, and just that was it. And so, horrific, yeah. There was a gig in Derry as well.
Was it in the Forum?
No, I can't remember what it was called. It was some hotel. But there was a really creepy B&B estate. Like the guy looked like Norman Bates and he'd walk into a room and all that. And it was really shocking,
That's the thing that seems to go hand in hand with comedy is the accommodation that's attached to the comedy can be, not always, but can be like, there was definitely somebody murdered here.
Are you thinking of that hotel in Cork?
I am. And even I've stayed in one or two others where if I brought a blue light in, you'd run a mile, like,
Yeah.
See,
there was the hotel where you used to go in and open up the curtains and it was just the wall.
Yeah.
I did it actually only a few years ago. It's only a few years ago and I'm, well established. And there was no toilet in the room. I thought there was a door for an ensuite, but that was shared with the next room and they had access to it. The toilet was down the corridor. And so I would have to go down there and walk down the corridor and go, imagine and there's your man off the telly. And it looked like I was staying in the toilet, that was my accommodation. Oh God.
You are very recognizable of all the, there's no two ways about it. You're very, and not just the Savage, and not just Father Ted, but like the Savage Eye as well. Yeah. And you were a Naked Camera. You popped up in 1,000,001 other things.
1,000,001, yeah. If you look at IMDb, you think, what a career.
Yeah.
It's a line here and there, yeah. But, What was the accommodation, though, as well? Like, it was okay in the early days, sharing rooms. That was fine.
Grand.
When you get to 40, you don't want to share.
No.
It's awful going, like, to Kerry or somewhere. Yeah. Oh, no.
Do you know when you blank things from your mind? You're like, be under a lie detector test and pass it because you've just blanked a horrific fucking moment from I was doing a film in Offaly. That wasn't a bad bit. And they had me rooming with one of the other cast, which is grand. And he was a nice fella, but he turned into a fucking walrus when he slept.
Yeah.
Now, I can normally deal, you go, oh, fuck, I'll try and drown it out. But by the third night, by the third morning, I turned into a fucking diva and came down to the director and went, I'll sleep out in my car. I'll sleep out in my fucking car. I'm going to murder him.
Yeah.
And it had gone out of my head, and he showed up just by pure fluke, popped up on an ad for first dates, RT's first dates. And here he was on a date with a dude. And I'm like, somebody needs to email RT. If this hasn't gone to air, do not go on a date with that man.
Yeah.
Don't go on a date with it, because you'll end up fucking smothering him, the cunt.
Yeah.
Like, you could deal with that shit in your 20s, but I was in my mid 30s even, at that stage, Pat.
You're shouting at the telly. He'll snore. I suppose, they could come to some arrangement, maybe with sleeping arrangements or whatever, just as soon as the minute it's over, just go on. Yeah.
Get the fuck out. Yeah. That's fair enough. Yeah, I suppose that was.
But he should have said it in the interaction and on the date. There, I snore like a.
I said it to him. I said to your man, he was like, nah. You've gone this far in your life, like you're almost 50, and you've gone this far, and nobody's ever pointed out the fact that you sound like you're fucking dying. Like you have sleep apnea or something's fucking wrong with you.
Yeah.
But I think I would have tolerated it in my 20s. But as you start to head towards your 40s, you're like, no, there are certain comforts I need.
Yeah.
I can sleep.
I have to sleep in this attic because my son can't tolerate my snoring on the bedroom floor level.
Are you serious?
Seriously, yeah. This is soundproofed.
So you've been Anne Franked because you snore like a tractor.
Yeah. It's that bad. So that's what apparently I don't want to share a room with someone. It's not fair on them.
This is why you were able to pull out of teaching that time. You were self-critical enough to go, this situation needs to change. Same as that, where your family were like, you could have been the ignorant dad and just go, fuck the lottie, put some earplugs in, I'm staying.
No, I have no power. Yeah.
Oh, okay.
No power. Yeah.
But that was very candid.
We don't have power. We're at the bottom of the heap.
It's true.
My dog has better health insurance than me. Honest to God. He's got a really good bed.
That's actually a really valid point. My dog has better insurance than me too.
Yeah.
Well, physically, she was bought, and she cost a fair bit of. If she cost €1, she cost more than I did. So.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah.
Jesus. So what was the first bit of telly you did then?
Right. Oh God, there's 2 bits of telly.
Right.
I hope one of them you can. I know the director and he still has it. But the first bit of telly, I think I'd like if it was wiped. I think it was called "You Cannot Be Serious." It was an improv show.
That sounds.
Don't look it up.
That sounds vaguely familiar.
It was, Mary Louise O'Donnell, the senator. Yeah, she presented it. And it was basically the improv and a few other comedians. And I was starting to do it at the time. And I think I'd done well in Edinburgh and I was in the finalists, So You Think You're Funny, the Channel 4 competition.
Yes,
newcomers, and Tommy Tiernan won that year and Jason Bourne was in it. So there was a bit of hype around comedians at the time. So they asked this young guy, I'd never done improv. And,
it was actually improv. So it wasn't stand-up.
Yeah.
Here.
Eddie Ban and Morgan Jones and Joe Taylor were the main people who did it every week. They didn't even do the comedy improv, actually. And they used to get a guest on, and I was dire. I mean, it was like teaching. And at one point, I had to say to Eddie Ban, Eddie, we're dying on our arse here. And they put that in.
They left that go to air.
Yeah, apparently, yeah. So I didn't watch it. I wanted to pretend it didn't happen.
Oh God! Anybody who's there's a couple of lads who are really good at rooting out archives and stuff like that. So if you can, please just DM it to me. I won't put it up anywhere. I just really want to see when Pat turns around to Eddie Bannon and goes, "We're dying on our hole here," and they left it in.
Apparently they did. But what do you call it? I met someone I'd been to college with who said, "Oh, I saw on your telly," and I'd just been in Father Ted. Oh yeah, I know, yeah. And no, it was that improv thing. Fuck off.
Bad bastard.
Yeah. That was really bad. Now. Then I did something on Atlas TV, playing a politician. That was like a serial, 5-minute serial at the end of this sort of magazine show. So that was out before Father Ted. And then Father Ted was next, I think.
And they were like, what was the direction on the character for Father Ted? Like, what hand did you have? Like you said, you worked in the Dublin Woolen Mills. I mean, the jumpers thing, like that. I
think they must have included that because, well, Daniel O'Donnell would have worn jumpers and those sort of
Yes.
Or singers wore jumpers. And
of course, it's not Daniel O'Donnell who they're referencing at all.
Not at all.
Like,
No. I don't know if I said that. Yeah, but it probably was a bit of that, and then a bit of the fact that I worked with them. Yeah, the direction was a funny one because they thought Graham Linehan was kind of sort of directing it, and he thought I could just turn up and be brilliant, and they didn't give me the script beforehand.
Okay.
With no preparation done. So I was reading it, and I was really terrible. I thought, fuck, that's my big chance gone.
Yeah.
And they rang up and said, "Look, we're sorry, we didn't give you the script." And so my note was, I was very shy as a kid. I should have brought a picture actually with me. When I made my communion, I couldn't smile, and I was like this. I'm really miserable, and my hands down by my side, and I just
you grew up in Dundalk, like, come on.
Yeah, exactly. It was that, yeah. And I remember that was my note. I'm going to look like him. I'm going to look just like I did in the communion picture.
Brilliant.
That was my thing. So I just stood and just was really miserable, and that's how I did. That's how I got it. So yeah, that was my note. But they didn't. They just wanted me to be me and be do the character I did on stage.
Okay, right. Yeah.
Yeah, they wanted to recreate that, and so I didn't get that much notes or anything really. It was just doing myself.
Yeah, because it's such a it's such a characterful show, and it's almost cartoon-like. I would have assumed that they had a heavy hand and everything, but obviously not. They just went, no, we hired you for that character, so can you do him?
I'm kind of cartoon-like.
I suppose, yeah. Well, I'm turning into a cartoon, a fucking parody of myself, like
King of the Hill or whatever. Yeah, it's one of those. Yeah. But they didn't. I mean, no, I've said this many times, but like Joe Rooney, Michael Redmond, who played Father Stone.
Yeah.
We were kind of playing ourselves in a way. We knew we'd socialized with the writers.
Okay, right.
We knew them quite well, really.
Yeah.
And they were taking notes all the time. So there's a lot of own in me,
Yes.
Some of that oddness and crankiness and, definitely. And Joe was quite like Father Damo. That sort of, he had that attitude.
It is
a bit of a wild boy,
It is funny, like that when I know people almost get disappointed when you're not who they've pictured in their head, but if they really dug in a small bit more, they could actually, because you have two characters. Well, you've an outward character towards the people that you meet after gigs and stuff. I think, you're normal. You're like, no, I'm not actually. I'm just putting this face on for society. I'm actually a fucking raving lunatic.
Yeah,
because I did a show the other night with a couple of UK based comedians. It was Glenn Wool and Alison June Smith was her name, and we just got dark really straight away in our conversation with each other. And like Alison paused for a second. She went, "Isn't it great being able to go full comedian in just conversation?" Like, she goes, "You just can't be this." You know what I mean? She goes, and even sometimes in green rooms, like, you have to check, can we go full comedian here? You have to test the water. Yeah. And then after a minute or two, you'll all have realized, we can go full comedian, which you could not involve people from the real world, Pat. Like,
they're shocked.
They couldn't deal with some of the things we say to each other, like the darkness that happens.
Yeah,
like.
That's where the real funny happens is in the green room just before a gig. If you're in the laughter lounge or wherever on the stairs in the International, or whatever, or the car going to the gig. Yeah, that's where it all happens. The gig is a disappointment. It's a come down of it.
It's just a consequence of the evening. Oh, right. Yeah. I'll be back in 20 minutes, lads.
Exactly.
Don't do anything cool without me. And I'll be back.
No. And there is a movement, to create safe spaces and to be careful before gigs. And I can understand that to an extent. And you don't want to freak people out. But there is an understanding. There is that look in your eye, and you can go full.
Well, I 100% agree with, the idea of, physically, Jesus, that should go without saying, physically safe places. But the whole, my notion, and I remember talking with Catherine Lynch, and she had a very interesting point on it. She goes, everything should be on the table for discussion if it can be made funny. Yeah. And we're supposed to be the jesters. Do you know what I mean? We were supposed to point out the fucked up shit and say the fucked up shit. Yeah. Do you know what I mean? To each other. And it's not maybe for the general public, but we should be able to say it to each other all in jest. You know?
Yeah, exactly. And it's a sign of a healthy society that you can do that, And also, in terms of, certain subjects we shouldn't have become taboo. But, say, I don't know what this. I mean, I'm a bit nervous to talk about some of it, but like say it's to do with people who have disabilities or whatever, and some people might have a joke, and it may be, may not be actually insulting to them, but but like in the time it's comedy's become a thing and it's become a popular thing in stand-up. Rights for people like that have only gotten better. We've become less racist and less ableist or whatever the word is, and sexist. We become less sexist as a society, and we become much more tolerant. So comedy's not making us less tolerant. The comedy's not. If it works fine and it's funny, it's not making us less tolerant. It's a sign of tolerance, really. So,
I agree 100%. And what you'll normally find is if there is a joke and somebody says, it's relevant to ableists, or whatever, you'll normally find the person that everybody's assuming would be insulted by the scenario. They fucking love it because they're like, finally, now we're making jokes about me. I'm now part of the gang, because that's what, especially in Ireland. I think sometimes, Ireland can run away with itself a little bit and go, like they create themselves into almost mini California. Those same rules don't apply. Those people are fucking different to us. Normally, what you normally find, and you'll probably back me up or correct me on it, you'll normally find a society that's been repressed for a fucking long time. They normally turned out, look at like the Jewish people really started stand-up comedy in New York. You know what I mean? You look at the black movement in comedy. It's fucking hilarious.
Yeah, I know.
So normally people who've come from a place of repression tends to be a funny genetically. So when people start taking their directives and their ideals from fucking people in fucking, San Jose or wherever, somewhere.
Exactly.
You're like I've had people say things to me that would only fly in America, and they're saying it to me about me, and they think it's completely okay. And I'm going, no, I will not accept that from you because we're Irish.
Right.
Other than that, fuck off. But I do agree that places like green rooms and absolutely should be physically, but the darkness should still apply.
Oh yeah,
because you're knocking all the fucking, and I'm not saying it for the want of just being dark. I think it's the most liberal way to be.
I know. Mike Savage used to say that, us doing that was a bit like footballers at the side of the pitch, just warming up before they're getting on, and the stretches and all of that,
It's 100% true.
That's exactly what we need to do to be funny.
Yeah, because I remember I was in the lounge one evening, and somebody I can't remember who it was, just started having a conversation about kids or their dog or something, but it was a normal over the fence backyard conversation. Like, what? No, I'm about to go on, man. Let's not. Can we say something fucked up or not at all to each other? Can we try and be funny or try and outdo? Because that's really what comedians are trying to do. They're trying to be funnier than the last person who spoke. Because we're lunatics and we want to outdo.
Lunatics.
Yeah.
We are lunatics. I was only thinking about it earlier on. We're not well.
No, oh God, no.
We do. We're not well by default,
Yeah.
One or two comedians, I think, possibly are relatively normal people.
Yeah, but
I'm thinking someone like, I do say Ard Lohan seems like a normal enough person, No.
No,
okay, good.
He's not going to be.
He's not going to be.
No, he's not going to be at all. No. I mean, the great thing, even if Ardle was a normal enough person, he has cemented himself forever in society's mind as being a complete oddball. So he has no choice. So outwardly, he's the character that everybody thinks he's a fucking weirdo. So maybe he's just trying to be the adverse to that.
Yeah. No, we're not well. And I ask the partners of comedians what it's like,
Oh,
it's
God,
funny going back, though, I became a bit more normal over lockdown. I started getting up at a normal time and I slept quite well, I noticed. And just getting back to gigging, it's the adrenaline. I forgot how much the adrenaline affects me.
That's what it is.
I wake at 2 o'clock or 3 o'clock and I can't sleep. And I'm drinking Coke again. And, I'm just back in this other cycle. It's I'd forgotten,
I didn't actually say it to you the other night because we don't tend to pay each other too many compliments. But because fuck that guy.
No.
But you looked great the other evening. You looked really healthy.
I was really healthy. I was eating well and sleeping well and exercising every day, taking really positive attitude. I started writing. I was doing and it's all gone. It's all gone. I'm tetchy again.
Yes.
I get the high at the weekend, and then the sunk at the low Tuesday. That's Tuesday where I'm staring at the wall.
That's why I did this. I said let's record on Monday. We'll be still
exactly.
up a little. We'll be up a
Still
little.
Up a little, yeah. But Tuesday is staring at the wall. It's depression time. A Wednesday maybe, and then you're getting back into it. Yeah. But no, I did. I took a positive attitude to lockdown, but you can't sustain that. Like I have to, I did miss the gigs. I did really like. I'd forgotten how much I liked it. I really had forgotten.
Yeah.
Sometimes it gets a drudge, and then go, did I do the right thing in doing this? But then you forget. Oh my God, I love it.
Yeah, because I slipped into a norm thing as well. I suppose I still had the podcast. At least I could be a bit, scratches the itch at the very least. You know what I mean? It's still good crack to talk to people and stuff. But after a while, I was kind of going, do you know what? It's all right being home on a Saturday night. It's fucking all right. But then I found myself slipping into, and it was that moment where you and the sandwich. It was the you and the sandwich. Exactly. It was genuine. I remember thinking this is like Pat when he fucking saw that fella asking him about a sandwich, and we accidentally Gogglebox or something, some mundane fucking bottom feeder shit came on, and I wasn't violently angry at it.
Yeah,
I went, yes. Oh, all right,
that's good. Yeah, exactly.
And then as my brain was pouring out my ear at the time, I remember I literally 3 minutes in, something clawed me back and went, you fucking idiot. No, because you'll end up, dead when you're 50 just with fucking sadness. And, you'll end up murdering somebody. Just go outside and fucking throw rocks in the fucking river or do something.
Yeah. Well, it's a funny thing. I don't think people realize how angry we are.
Yeah.
Comedians. They don't realize anger is the part of the fuel and part of the underlying pathology of a comedian.
That's a really valid point. You're 100% right. Yeah.
Yeah. It is. People wouldn't believe how angry I can get about things. Nonsense. Like not with like my kids or anything like that, but just nonsense.
Oh yeah.
Jealousy and all of that.
What was the last thing that you can tell us about that you lost the fucking rag over? Like,
I can't really. It'd be like a film or something that comes out that really annoys me.
Yeah.
I won't say it. There's a few recently. Yeah. But I will get angry, or an article I'll read about someone, particularly someone in the business, and they're trying to project an image that isn't real. You know what I mean? And that's hard. I get very angry, and I ring people.
Who's your go-to? Is Joe?
I would never say. Yeah, Joe's one. Yeah, but we would.
But it's I get you. What seems to have happened me over, and there's a fucking influx of these, and I don't know why they get me so angry. Like influencers for the longest time, I was like, what the hell? But then after a while, I started to relax, and I was like, okay, they're trying to make a few quid, and that's their medium, and that's how you shape it. Even though I think it's it's absolutely fucking, you're a degenerate. But at the same time, I went, well, I'm too old to understand how these things work and the advertising of these things work. But for some reason, I've been fucking bombarded with these kind of life gurus who are all multimillionaires. And there's a couple of them that are Irish and stuff. And for some reason, it pops up on Instagram. And I'm like, what am I looking at? And they all are basically just noisy memes. They look to camera and go, don't dream about the fucking trousers you want, but the trousers you fucking have and you can wear.
Yeah.
You choose. And then next thing they drive off on a boat. And you're like, what the fuck did I just watch? Your teeth are so bone white. Your tan is ridiculous. I don't want to be anything like you. Thank you very much. Stop showing me this shit.
And do they really believe any of it? Do any of them believe? Actually, I watched one of them. There was a woman who told people not to eat, that they could get all the energy they needed from the sun or something like this. And some people starve themselves to death with this shit. And she told, and there are a few of these people did it, or haven't eaten in 6 months or whatever, and look at me. But then there'd be a CCTV camera showing them going to the fridge. And incredible. But someone actually said it to me, do you know some people, there's a guy in India and he just stands and gets all his energy from the sun, he doesn't need to eat. And you think, what? Obviously these are the people who do the phone thing, the text you get and all, the Nigerian prince type, that sort of thing. Yeah. Some people fall for that, and that's.
Yeah. And I suppose, you're right. They're all in the same fucking bin, all those people. Yeah. But it's to take inspiration from it. Maybe it's just a critical prick in me, but I just cannot. I can't. And I knew I was back when I say about Gogglebox with it. I knew my brain was back when I was going recording a podcast the other evening, and the person I was on with was like, "Oh well, tonight doesn't suit, but tomorrow night suit because the Bake Off is on tonight." And my brain didn't catch up. I went, "Did he wrote that wrong? That's something else. That's a gig somewhere, or that's something actually serious like Bake Off. What could that be? Maybe Rake Cat. What's Bake Off? Inverted commas, like what's the Great British Bake Off? Oh, you're actually, oh Jesus Christ, you want to actually go watch it. You
Yeah.
Why would you want to watch it? And when the option is to have the crack instead.
Yeah, I know.
And it was like, no, this is the shit. And I'm like, oh, fuck all that. Get rid of the telly. If that was the only thing to be watching on the telly, like,
yeah.
And people and I was on Twitter and people were getting so pumped about cakes. Like, I cannot. Yeah, I can understand watching a housing program to a degree because you're like, okay, well, there's hundreds of thousands on the line here, and it's literally the dwelling that people are going to live in. But even still, I'm going to skip through most of it because a lot of it is just recap, fluffing, and a lot of it is about the fucking presenter who's probably a wanker. Like, can we just get started at the beginning? How much? I don't actually care how much they spent on it. Just let's have a look at the end.
I do. I watch property shows.
I do. I watch, but at least you can validate it to a degree. You go, well, it is the most important purchase you will ever make.
Yeah, but you don't get a fucking extension at the back and then eat it.
This is what, like when people getting so riled up and pumped about a show about cakes, I'm like, I cannot get on board with that. I can't. They're cakes, lads.
I haven't been asked to do any of them, and I was the cake jumper man.
Yeah, do you know what? Yeah,
that's terrible.
They attempted to do an Irish Bake Off thing, didn't they?
Yeah, they did. Yeah.
And I say attempt. I don't know where it went.
Yeah, I don't know where it went. Yeah.
I have a funny feeling for anybody listening to this. Pat, just a glint came over his eye and says that he does know where it went, but he's not going to tell me.
Yeah. No, the last time, what makes me angry, I watched. I was in one New Year's Eve, and there was a music show on RTE and Codaline. Now, Codaline, people may love Codaline, but I thought it was inappropriate for a New Year's Eve because they were crying, really, basically. They were whining. And if you ask my wife, I got into a blazing row with her sister over it.
Really?
Frothing at the mouth. Like frothing.
I love how furious you got over Codaline on a fucking New Year's show.
Listen to Codaline in your own time and your own. It does sound like a drug as well, but like take Codaline, in your own time, and that's your job. But like, don't play it. They're not as appropriate for New Year's Eve when you're meant to be up. Woohoo! The whole of the moon is the whole. Well, that'd be something. But these guys were crying. There's a lot of whinging young men. Women are dominating music now, I think, and a lot of the good music made by women. And young men are just whinging the whole time. It's all sad. It's all whining, pining for love. Women don't like that. They don't find it attractive.
I wonder, that's a very valid point you made. I mean, Wednesday, you've seen people like the likes of Cardi B, where she's just having the crack talking about taking dick. You're like, great.
100%.
And it sounds like good fun. Whatever you're doing, it sounds like good fun. And you're right. So many blokes, it seems to be this trend of just fucking dreary misery.
Dreary misery. Just, if you kill them, you could, if you shoot one of them, you could in court say, I thought I was putting them in, I heard his last album and I thought it was a cry for,
Doing him a service. I remember saying to a mate who's a singer, when did this evolution of misery kick in, like proper fucking misery kick in? Like where's the good crack songs gone? Like, and then also there seems to be this thing where a lot of Irish bands and some UK bands where they're really slack-jawed when they sing. I don't know if you've picked up on this, but it's like this.
Yeah. I know, yeah.
It's like, man, you don't even have the masculinity left in your jaw to close it. Like, what's after
happening? It's a real problem. Like, well, I mean, it's the things were on the turn in the 80s, you had the Smiths, and I love the Smiths and all that, but there were a lot of sensitive guys coming on. But like, if you were around the early 70s, it was like Deep Purple. It was like, it was like Led Zeppelin. It was, Whole Lot of Love.
Yeah.
Hendrix, and there were all these.
Or at least have a bit of crack with it. It's the misery that's
it's the misery.
Me. It's
misery. Yeah, it's misery like, porn or whatever. Yeah, it is. It is unbelievable. I did with myself and John Cleary used to do a sketch with Tommy on his show.
Oh, you were the Whatchamacallit brothers, the Gossip brothers. Yeah.
And but like we'd be at the back, we'd be waiting to go on, myself and John.
Yeah.
But the band would be on, and a lot of those bands were pretty fucking miserable. You know, they were whining, like really sounded sad.
Yeah.
And I felt like going up. I thought, will I just walk up, grab the guitar and smash it and just start singing Like a Do? You get the crowd singing. I just thought, there's nothing stopping me. You know, oh my God.
I doubt the moment that would happen, Pat, your career would go tenfold. I'm sorry.
I know that. I should have. I missed my chance, and then he decided not to use us again. But yeah, I watched The Spirit of Saturday Night one night.
What the fuck is The Spirit of Saturday Night?
Did you see that one? It was the one from the Saturdays. Is she from Tipperary or somewhere?
Oh, Una, is it?
Una,
yeah.
And you know, she's very good and all that. You know, they were good, but everything. But it was really miserable tonight. It was really. And you're thinking, is this the spirit of Saturday Night? Like, you know, it's utterly boring.
There's a band I need to put you on to. I had him on the podcast just actually last year. They're called the Mary Wallopers, and they were on the Tommy Show. Oh. And it turns out they're cousins of a good friend of my wife's. Oh, they're so fucking brilliant. They were upbeat, very funny folk lads.
Yeah.
And there was a right wildness to them. Do you know that fucking wildness?
I know.
And I think they're up from Drogheda direction. The boys are, they're going from strength to strength, and it's proven because they're literally selling out everywhere they tour now.
If someone just did it and just was happy and a bit of fun and whatever, they'd be a billionaire now. You know,
the lads won't.
You think have to sound like I'm dying.
Maybe that is the thing you need to do to actually make them mega bucks. Because while the lads are doing very well, making a fine go of it now, you can see they will never conform to that. You know what I mean? They have, gas old beards and they look wild. You know, like they jumped out from behind a bush.
Yeah,
which appeals to fellas like you and me. And
exactly.
But I think to sell it on the radio, there needs to be for some reason a level of fucking misery to it.
Yeah. There is also a female voice that you hear. She sounds sort of, you know, and they're singing like covers of happy songs, but they've found hidden meaning in it, you know. And they're singing really, they found the sad subtext to Agadoo, and they're, fucking car ads. Now, I get very angry with that. You wouldn't believe how angry. If people argue with me on that, we're in agreement. But if you said, no, I think it's I would get very angry. Not like you could call me anything or whatever, but that really riles me.
I think we'll probably turn the corner again, because I mean everything changes. Like
everything changes, it goes in cycles, 100%. When the Beatles came, you had a couple of years of just miserable ballad singers and whatever, and then just suddenly they took off with happy music. And hopefully it will happen again. Yeah,
I'm sure there's a level of positivity that can be taken from things like wokeness, because I know it's a healthy movement to a degree in its premise. Now, some people have taken it and gone fucking absolutely bananas. You know what I mean? It's other people have fucking, they've taken all the good bits and went, I think what we need to do is double down on everything, because I think so many people like to put their own stamp on a thing and like to be part of a gang.
Like, it's all about being part of a gang.
Yeah.
It's all about the virtue signaling is the great phrase. It's signaling to people. But it goes on the right as well. Like, there's lunatics on the right.
Yeah.
It's two diseased halves of a brain. It's almost like, in ping pong or table tennis, and in the Olympics, and the two players that go further and further away from the table. So you can't see the ball. So you try to engage in a subject online, and no, they're all over here or way over here, and they're mental.
It's unbelievable.
But wokeness is a thing, and there's no doubt about it. Like, at the core of it is something decent.
Yeah.
To fight for social justice, and that's, of course, we're all on board with that. But when it becomes like, you can't say the right thing, there's no right answer.
Yes, yeah.
Their pathology is the problem.
people aren't genetically made. I don't think our brains haven't evolved that fucking much in 10 years that we're all ready for this level of fucking wokeness that possibly is going to be there. Like,
no, it is a big issue for my kids now. My son's just finished school; he's in college now, and my daughter's in school still. And yeah, they've come across this all the time. That battle, yeah. There's a lot of that going on. And I think they are swinging the other way. Hopefully, it will. There'll be a healthier generation who'll come along and be more copped on about things. And listen, if you had video cameras when I was young, up till I was 30, I wouldn't be here. I wouldn't. Honest to God, would drink on me and whatever. I mean, it was just like it was a playground. Growing up. You just said thought and just whatever for a laugh.
And if you have your mates egging you on, or you're egging them on. And what's coming up next gig-wise then? Do you know?
I'm doing at the weekend on in City Limits in Cork.
Oh, brilliant.
Yeah. With Brian Coughlin. And then...
Colin. They call it Colin for some reason in Cork.
Right, yes. Yeah, of course, yeah. And then I'm over in Galway for the festival. I'm doing 2 gigs. I'm on with Kevin McAleer in the Town Hall.
Brilliant.
Yeah, and then I'm doing another gig in some smaller venue. Can't remember what it's called. Do you know the Loft?
Oh, the Loft is... No, it's not above the King. It's not the King's Head. No, it's not. No.
It's somewhere in Galway.
What days of the week is that? Because I'm over there the Friday and Saturday.
Friday and Saturday.
Are you?
Yeah.
Oh, brilliant! Because I'm there on the Friday and Saturday. I think I was doing a big room, but then Tommy wanted my spot, and so they went, "Okay, Tommy." Which is fine. He didn't know he was they left it kind of wide open. They were like, it's yours, but if Tommy turns around and says he wants it, it's Tommy's. So
I know.
Understood.
Yeah, of course. Yeah. We know our place. Yeah.
Yeah, I'll work away, Tom. Work away. Yeah. But I think I'm possibly going to be on a later show anyway that evening.
Good.
And then
that's brilliant.
And then I'm hosting a show on the Sunday.
Yeah.
But back to and of course we're there for the reopening of the world again, of Ireland.
Yeah, exactly.
Because
hopefully it'll be full rooms and whatever. Yeah, because it has been hard. It has some of the gigs have been pretty hard with the distance audiences and that. It's not natural, and you don't build the atmosphere.
We did one in a hotel a couple of weeks ago, and it was a big room that if you sat at theatre style, I'd say you'd fit 700 or 800 people in there.
Yeah.
But because it was having to be spaced out and 3 to a table, it looked like an exam hall.
Yeah.
And it fucking felt the very same.
Yeah.
It felt it. But you take it, don't you? Like,
oh yeah. Yeah, absolutely. Well, I'm delighted. I don't mind actually going badly now because it's just at least I'm getting the thing out there.
Yeah.
I'm saying it and I can hear myself saying the material, even if it gets no laughs, and some of it hasn't.
Oh yeah.
It doesn't matter.
Yeah, because the build up that you must have, because your bollocksology meter is so fucking like you're like myself to a degree, but of anybody I could ever describe, if I was asked to describe you, I'd go, Pat's tolerance for shit is so fucking low. It's like he literally, there is no vessel on him that can take bollocksology. Like there's nothing. No. You're like, no, not having that.
Yeah. I don't know why it is. Yeah, I'd say it as it is pretty much. Yeah, I can't disguise it. A lot of comedians will know there's bullshit going on, but for their own career, they'll be cautious and careful and political.
Yeah,
I can't. I never have been. Which isn't a good thing, but no, I can't.
And in fairness, you turn a lot of material into that. Like you're like the fact that you can't deal with the notions that Ireland got for itself and stuff like that. You're like,
exactly.
No, we're all potato eating fucking idiots. What are we doing?
Yeah, we are. Yeah, absolutely. So what's next for you? Are you
That's it. I think. Am I in the Laughter Lounge? I think
cool.
I'm in. I'm back. I'm filming a thing for them.
Oh, right.
Filming a thing for them. I think for their Christmas next week. But then I'm in Dolan's in Limerick, and then I'm doing that cabaret one that you did. Was it a cabaret you did a couple of weeks ago?
Well, yeah. That's right. Yeah.
I'm doing
that's good.
I from what I hear, and in the north and a couple of more, there's a few more of those.
Yeah.
Open it up where it's like, let's go back to the 1940s and have a cabaret. I'm more than happy if there's
absolutely,
a band. Yeah, brilliant.
I'll do anything then.
I literally bar mitzvahs, communions.
Yeah.
Pat is there for
Yeah, and I don't think there's much on RT. I mean, it's weird. Like, I mean, we would have crossed paths, say, doing, was it Bridget Neyman?
Yeah.
Yeah, Bridget Neyman, and there'd be all these little shows. I mean, there'd be a little part. I got a little part in the young offenders and stuff like that. There's always little things to pick up, but there's very little, I think, now. I don't know what they're making, or
I haven't heard. I mean, there's animation kind of would be, and a bit of stuff for their online player.
Yeah.
No, I don't think they. No, I don't. Reality TV is where it's at for them, for whatever, I think that's where it's at.
It is, and that's completely.
I mean, and the thing is, as I was saying to somebody, trust me, because we're talking about an issue of money. I was like, if it's an issue of money, I can promise you that will not be the case if it was comedians you were trying to employ. They'd be fine with next to nothing. Like we have been for the longest fucking time. Right. Like, you know what I mean? You won't get too many bitching about the wages coming out of a thing. It's like, no, it's fine. But I think they've tapped into the notion that it's more lucrative and probably more down their fucking wheelhouse.
No, I mean, I've really noticed it since we've come back. I think social media is the thing. It's the thing. Like,
it is the thing. Yeah.
It's Enya Martin and the two Johnnies have all just come from, and Joanne McNally has done a lot of that. Not that much telly. And the telly she's done hasn't made much difference, but it's the social media. So it's totally changed. It's a totally different landscape to when I started. If anyone's watching, please don't contact RTE for a tape of You Cannot Be Serious. I shouldn't have said it, and I regret saying it now. But actually, Ziggins, or what do you call it, Podge and Rod used to do that chat show. They'd have people on and show embarrassing clips. And I got a call one time to say, do you want to come on the show? And I thought, they have it. I know they have it. And so I wouldn't go on. I said, no.
Shit.
No way. Yeah.
I suppose at the time TV was the thing, and it may have been damaging, actually. You know what I mean? Maybe you were wrong or you were right. I don't know. But nowadays, people are like, what? Because they're just banging out so much content now on social media that.
Yeah, and it used to be it used to be that you'd make money from doing like that. Say I did that show. Nowadays you might get 250 quid or whatever. It was 700 pounds at the time, I think.
Was it?
That episode? Yeah. I mean, television used to pay quite well. If you got a good gig, that would do you half the year, say. And now it just does you for that week's wage, really.
I did TV 2 weeks ago. I was on a show, and they asked me to be on the show. I wasn't promoting anything. I don't think there was any payment. There was. And the time before that, with the same thing, I think the payment was something like a nominal fee. It was like 50 or 60 euros.
Yeah, there is a lot of 50 euros. Yeah, where it used to be.
What?
Yeah.
Like,
it's good promotion. It's good for you. It's good. A lot of people will see it.
I'll never forget, after that time, that 50 euros time, I was flying to Edinburgh the next day I was doing a mini tour with Tom Stade.
Oh, yeah.
And I said, I better stop in the off license, pick him up a bottle of something, to say, and he likes a drink. Middle-aged lady who was selling the booze at the time, she was like, I seen you. You were very good. And that was it.
Yeah.
Nothing else.
Yeah.
I mean nothing, as if I did not exist.
Yeah.
That was the one and only. So I carry that with me everywhere now. I took a photograph of the woman, keep it in my wallet. Just open it up every so often and just give it a look. Yeah.
Very good. Yeah. No, but it'll be weird moving forward for comedians. Like, I haven't done Father Ted, and it's still been shown occasionally. It's still an RTE now and again.
Yeah.
Whatever. That it's kept that thing alive for me. But like, social media just goes on and then dies, and it's gone. And
well,
there's no legacy to it.
Yeah, I guess so. But I think when you're throwing up stories or whatever like that, but if you have creative sketches, which I've seen people, they will make it then to YouTube and stuff like McSavage has, he's dug back up the Savage Eye like 2 years ago.
I know that.
And he's flying it.
Yeah.
Now he's really embraced it, and he's really embraced the editing side of things as well. But I remember saying it to him. You did Limerick, didn't you, with me? UCH, did you?
I think I did, yeah.
Yeah. Well, it was that gig McSavage did. We were driving back up. And I said it to him, I said, you're not on Instagram. Why are you not? Like, because you're so vocal. You're driving with McSavage and you're just giving out about everything. I was like, this, and you have so many well-known characters. Why aren't you reposting clips from the Savage Eye? It's a sketch show. It's custom made for, social media. And he was like, oh, fuck it. I said, you have to be. I said, do you have the rights to get those? He went, yeah. I said, well, just bang them up. Doesn't matter. Doesn't matter, because I said, people are sharing your shit on WhatsApp. He was like, really? And I showed him one from a gang of lads who are mostly all based in Europe that I'm on a group with. And they share funny videos and some creepy shit as well sometimes. But one of the videos came up, like with the one where he was, the bull was farming gay lads. Do you remember that one?
Yeah, that's brilliant. Yeah.
One of the best ever, like so ingeniously written. And I showed him, he went, so people are sending this around? I said, yes, there's humor being sent around to people for free. So you need to be doing something with yourself. Upgrade your phone and get some fucking Instagram going. And I'm not taking full credit, but I'm taking all the credit for it. If anybody does follow me. Though.
He's transformed his career, and he for after the Savage Eye, I'd worked in a few projects. He was going the old traditional route of trying to get a film or television made. It was going nowhere. And then suddenly, and he was struggling to sell a proper gig. Yeah. Suddenly he's playing the Olympia a couple of nights and
like he's
all around the country.
He's making a living now from his Patreon page.
I know.
Do you know? And more power to him. Like, I mean, because that content sitting on that fucking thing, like, and doing nothing with it. But is it like that if ever there was a perfect sign or affirmation or confirmation for what you were saying, that TV's behind us now. It's all social media. Mick Savage in his 50s is case in point.
Absolutely. And he's good at it, yeah. I'm afraid of the internet though, I am.
Are you?
Yeah. It goes way back to like seeing the first comments say on shows I was in and there's thousands that they were really nasty. And you just go, oh, no.
I'm with you. Yeah.
And even on Twitter, you see Twitter and Facebook. But I think Instagram's better.
That's the only one I bother with. And people tend not to follow you to be a cunt.
Yeah.
They follow you because they genuinely like you.
Yeah.
So that's, yes, there's a profile on Twitter. But for the most part, I'm not really I think people know they wouldn't get much mileage out of me if they were whinging. I've had a few, pylons a few times, but I kind of went looking at it, but they were looking for it. It was, the cycle Nazis, people, and I just, I'd throw a fish out there. And of course, Twitter wants to start a war. That's what they do. So
that's what it's all about. It's a game. It's a video game.
I would tag nothing to do with cycling or nothing to do with whatever sport, and all of a sudden it just pans in front of cyclists who are vehement about cycling.
Yeah,
and they literally want to kill you. You're like, you believe in this shit way more. So that would be it. But Instagram, you should definitely start an Instagram.
Yeah, I know.
Because and if nothing, purely live through the past characters you played.
Of course,
that's the easiest way to do it.
That's all there is left. That's it.
You're just a husk of a fucking
exactly. Yeah.
I honestly just grab.
Yeah, no, I will.
And I guarantee you'll have thousands within, and it will not hurt you in any way.
Yeah.
Like Instagram, fuck the rest of them. Like there's.
Oh no, absolutely.
Their opinion.
Twitter is a septic tank. It is
absolute kip. It's a fucking kip.
It is like if you want debate, it's like walking up somewhere like a really rough area at 1 o'clock in the morning and expect not to get stabbed. Going on Twitter. I can't believe people said, no, that's where you're going. You're walking up Sheriff Street at 1 o'clock in the morning. That's what you're doing. Wearing a pink suit or something,
Yeah.
And stay away from it. Like, just.
You can have crack with it then. Like,
yeah.
You know what I mean? You can actually have a bit of crack. Like McSavage is having a bit of crack with it. But as far as fucking any of the rest of them, those are the ones to actually stay frightened of. Fuck them. Like,
oh, yeah.
Yeah. Pat, this has been an absolute joy.
Brilliant, yeah.
Just hanging out with you in your attic. This is
yes.
I mean, obviously you're locked in there for the rest of soundproofed. Fantastic.
Yeah.
Right, I'll see you in Galway soon in a week.
Brilliant. Thanks for the Tom.
Thanks a million, Pat. Thank you very much, Pat. Like he said, he may at some stage get an Instagram or some sort of social media presence, but for now he doesn't. So just go to the gigs he's at when you see physical posters of him. When he does actually finally get on board with Instagram, I'll tell you all about it, because it'll be well worth seeing what Pat has to put up. He's such a good guy. Now, before I go, I'll just let you know in case you skip forward, there's of course the Patreon page. The link is in the show notes. If you want to support the show and get the video to today's podcast, go ahead. There's a rake of other stuff up there that you can sit down and burn through at least a feckin' long weekend without ever actually leaving the feckin' laptop down. Other than that, boys and girls, I'll be back again on Monday with another Tom and Jerry show. I'll have another Ramble Pod for the Patreons. There'll be a cracked rugby, and there'll be, possibly another bonus episode. I don't know, but I'll be back anyway with another one of these next Friday. Go on away and mind yourselves. Good luck.